Loreto. Accept the fact that you have lost your son.
You never resigned yourself to losing the first one, did you?
Hii ya dhiki huleta zaburi kwa simu yako, bonyeza *811 *815#.
Na msibabaishwe na yale mnayowapitia, hata yawe magumu kiasi gani, yote yatapita. La msingi ni kuweka tumaini letu kwa Mungu aliyetuumba. Katika kitabu cha Warumi 5:3, wala si hivyo tu, ila mnafurahia katika dhiki pia, mkijua ya kuwa dhiki kazi yake ni kuleta saburi. Amina.
Ili kupata skiza tune hii, bonyeza *811 *815# *811 *815#.
The coastal region is a construction site, literally. From highways and byways to ports and shiny boats, the evidence is there to be seen and to be touched. But what are the economic benefits of all these projects?
Better connectivity, more efficient roads, give people an opportunity to actually acquire land away from a busy commercial center and go to areas where land is cheaper, and therefore use the excess money to invest into productive activities.
This week on Inside Government, we focus our trail on infrastructural development at the coast, and we are talking to the chairperson of Kenya National Highway.
Kulu minat toyibat, yani kuleni katika vitu ambavyo ni vyema, na pia mtekeleze vitende vyema, na kando na hilo msiingize mikono yenu katika maangamivu.
Mwenyezi Mungu Subhanahu wa Ta'ala mazungumza, mkuleni kitu halali lakini msikule kitu ambaye haramu Mwenyezi Mungu ameharamisha.
One thing that I do know is my brother's going to have my back, and he's going to honor his word. We got Tom Lawler's back, we've proved it. When with low key, we just hope that he honors his word, and we know that we're going to give it everything we have.
While I don't fully trust low key, we have a common enemy, Contra.
At the War Chamber, my brother and I, and Tom and low key, we're going to war.
This snake has no venom, but it's clearly not harmless because it's a python and it's incredibly strong.
Those are devils. They need to be killed. So I said, no, I think they need their life. They go to the local mgangas, they die.
The amount of venom that came out of it, minute. This is enough to kill an elephant.
If somebody's afraid of snakes, I am actually the dawa. I know how to get rid of those fear. My name is Boniface Momanyi, and I am a wildlife warrior.
Oh. My name is Posire Marupe, and I was told to come to this class.
No wonder. You know, some of us pay our own school fees. We do not have the so-called daddies to pay for us.
Can you imagine me and Will Smith are literally buddies? Sorry, Jada.
How would you like if I pay your fee alias?
That is not enough even for dowry.
You concentrate. Who is paying your dowry?
Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.
Well, if you wanted to fight, you should have brought more men.
There are whispers of a Hebrew with great strength. It is a story for slaves, nothing more.
I want you to investigate this.
You find me the secret of his power,
My Delilah.
Who's this god who gives you such strength?
3 vows were bestowed upon me. No wine, no touching the dead, no cutting of my hair.
Wiki hii kwenye Mkulima tutaangazia ufugaji wa ng'ombe wa maziwa.
Mara mingi utakuta wakulima wana pool matiti. Hiyo sio njia mzuri ya kukamua ng'ombe. Utakuwa unaumiza matiti ya ng'ombe na ng'ombe inaweza pata mastitis, ugonjwa wa mastitis.
Kisha tuelimishwe kuhusu internet kutoka mwezini inavyonufaisha wafugaji.
Kwa saa hizi lengo yangu ni kusema ya kwamba nataka itumiwe na wale ambao wako na nia ya kufanya agriculture, that is one. Pili, katika harakati ya masomo, and also fishing in the lake and in the sea, among others.
Ambatana nasi Jumapili saa 9:30 hapa KBC.
Tangu kuzinduliwa kwa vigezo vinne vikuu vya ajenda ya maendeleo na rais zijulikanazo kama the Big Four Agenda, serikali za kaunti zimeanzisha baadhi ya miradi inayoambatana na vigezo hivyo.
This Big Four Agenda provides young persons with multiple avenues for self-fulfillment, economic empowerment, dignified living, as well as service to Kenya.
Kaunti ya Kitui imeanzisha miradi ya kuzalisha bidhaa mbalimbali huku ikibuni nafasi za kazi na kukuza uchumi.
Governor zote tungechukua hii Big Four Agenda. Hii ndio game changer.
Ijumaa hii saa 2:30 jioni katika KBC Channel 1, tazama jinsi kaunti ya Kitui ilivyowekeza katika miradi inayolingana na the Big Four.
Alipakash. Ujambia mtu wako udhonitu rakaraka kuo. Wakati atakuja uchumba, ndio atajua maana ya udhoni.
It will really kill him if he finds out tunamcheza.
Hata nikwambie ile kitu si kazi. Ni wewe kuja hapa kila siku. Na unatoka kila siku bila pesa. Hiyo ndio si kazi. Go! Toka!
Hebu toka nje. Toka nje.
Pete, relax.
We take it on at the right time.
Honorable Musalia Mudavadi.
The Honorable Mutahi Kagwe.
Chief Justice Martha Karambuko.
This is KBC, is the voice of Kenya.
Asking the right questions.
I don't know how it made you feel as speaker who is presiding over a house where members can be compromised with 10,000 shillings.
We keep our guests comfortable. A mission to ensure our audience gets a complete story.
For a few hours or so, I thought this is it. My end has come.
If really we want an end of this pandemic, we must fight.
Our goal, to tell it as it is for the benefit of our viewer.
And I'm sure we will have good discussions.
All right.
That will make probably your viewers understand KDF better.
With 21 radio outlets.
During a live interview on KBC TV, Chief of Defense Forces General Robert Kibosh.
Jaji mkuu kwa mara ya kwanza katika mahojiano yake ya kipekee na runinga ya KBC Channel 1.
And 2 TV stations covering over 90% of the entire country. The message always gets home. KBC, the home of on-air TV interviews.
Mwanamke wenda zimu huyu.
Mke wangu si mwenda wazimu.
Sikiza, unapojishirikisha na wazimu pia wewe utakuita wazimu.
Hii nyumba iko kama polisi, haishi vituko kila siku hii.
Maya hujanielewa.
Nakuelewa vizuri sana Bandi.
Lakini siwezi.
Sasa mimi nakuonya. Achana na haya mambo.
Nilikuwa nataka kumzana Antipili mimi.
Ulikuwa utakumwambia nini Auntie Pili?
An industry at a crossroad. That is a state of the micro-lending business in this country. And the question is, which is the way forward, or what is the way forward? This will be forming our conversation later on here on a BizCheck. My name is O'Brien Kimani. Thank you very much indeed for finding time to be with us. But before we get there, we also want to have a look at the horticulture sector in Kenya. It is one of the biggest contributors to the agriculture sector, contributing about 36% of total input or output in the agriculture sector, which supports about 25% of Kenyan economy. What is the status of this industry? That is the conversation we shall be having here. And of course, we have our reporters from Nairobi to Mombasa and of course to the western part of this country. They are on the ground tracking the happenings down there. They shall be informing us what is the news around their counties. But for now, let's come back to the studio and have our conversation right now. The conversation is around the horticulture sector. And the question is, how do we boost or how do we help in the growth of this critical sector? We're talking to Nathan Lloyd Ndongo. He is the chairman and CEO of AvoVeg, which is a fruit and vegetable exporter as well as a grower here in Kenya. He's now joining us. Thank you very much indeed, Nathan, for joining us here. Give us an overview, first of all, of where are we and how is the industry looking, coming at a time when there was major disruptions because of COVID-19 pandemic.
Okay, thank you again. My name is Nathan Lloyd. Kenya is, if we look at the advantages of Kenya first, let's look at, we are number 8 in the world. This, if you look, stemming back from the last few decades, this has a testimony in terms of the entrepreneurs and the farmers to bring us to be number 8 in the world right now. Coming to current, with your question related to the epidemic started from 2020 into 2021, it has been a huge challenge. Businesses already have their own challenges, but the COVID has literally shaken us to our knees. Yes.
I remember sometimes last year, mid last year, I mean, the industry was bleeding and losses were running into billions of shillings, Have we managed to recover, and to what extent have the industry gone back to pre-pandemic levels?
Managed to recover? No. It's still going to take us at least a year to start the recovery process, because you see, this was a worldwide issue, not only a Kenyan issue, but a worldwide issue, since we export our produce to Europe, and when the world is affected, then we're all affected on many different levels. So have we started the recovery? No, we have not. Do we anticipate see light at the end of the tunnel? 2022 should be our year of recovery. Yes.
There is an ongoing logistic disruptions in the world caused by lack of containers and shortage of the same in China. Has this somehow impacted the local industry here?
It definitely has impacted, because we ship 90% of what we ship goes by sea, especially avocados. So the disruption, of course, disrupts us exporters, and at the same time it also goes all the way down to the grassroots, also affecting our farmers. Yes, so it has.
When you look at statistics from the Directorate of Horticulture, there was a reduction in terms of revenue in the 10 months between January 2021 to October of about 12 billion shillings. Why was this the case? And people, everybody was expecting that, and now that, somehow the pandemic has petered out, things were likely to pick up, quickly.
You see, the pandemic took place especially in 2020, but even we have just come out of lockdown as Kenya, in terms of the curfew has been lifted, all those aspects. That's just a month ago. In the business aspect, a bounce back cannot happen just immediately. This was a total disruption. So to put back our systems in place, to put back everything in place, because we're heavily reliant on logistics. So it takes time. And takes time is why I see 2022 should be our year where we start to recover. Especially with the exports we did not achieve in 2020 and 2021. We are going to now double up on our exports in 2022. Yes.
Is there a strong demand in our key markets?
For us, we cannot even keep up the demand. The demand is, you see, the avocados are used for many different areas. We have now avocado oil used for cooking. Believe it or not, we also have avocado chocolate. So we have avocado milkshakes. So the demand
milkshake, I know, chocolate.
Yes, there is avocado chocolate, and we even have restaurants in the US that just focus only on avocado, from the appetizer to the main course to your desserts. So the demand will keep on increasing. Yes.
So why is it hard for us, bearing in mind that we are 8th largest producer or exporter of horticulture in the world, why is it so hard for Kenya to seize that opportunity and deepen our export?
I think we are on the right track to deepen our export. The shake-up with, even when you look at this stimulus package that has been talked about, the 1.5 billion, it's been talked about, but it's not been actualized. If we look at our more developed countries like in Europe, where we export to, the government has actually intervened to support the private sector to bounce back. So we'll still need government support to be able to bounce back. Yes.
When you say the 1.5 billion shillings has not been actualized, what exactly do you mean?
Our president mentioned that there will be a stimulus package of 1.5 billion to help in the recovery process. So that has been said by our president, but has not been actualized in terms of its words that have not followed through with action.
As an industry, because I know the horticulture industry has a very strong lobby platform, have you picked up this with the National Treasury?
Even through like organizations like Kenya Fresh Consortium, which is the CEO is OJPAT, they have actually, they represent a group of us exporters. They have been actually at their doors literally pleading. So there's been a lot of listening, but no action. So has it been done through a unified voice? It has, but there's no action as far as that goes. So we continue to run at this alone.
And from where you sit or from where you stand as an industry, why do you think there's a drag in implementing the presidential directive?
I think the drag would come with one or two ministries dropping the ball, because this is the president who was given directive, and then from there it's all about politicking, which will be more focused now on August 2022 than the fact that the SMEs and the private sector are the ones that really are the heroes and the ones that are driving our Kenyan economy. But at the end of the day, we're ignored, and I think it's one or two dropping the ball at the expense of our Kenyan economy. Yes.
And when you say there is some lack of political will, this lack of political will is from which part of the government?
This, of course, would go now to Treasury. It will go to the Ministry of Agriculture, because that should be the unified voice stating that my sector, my people, which is the exporters, which is the farmers, which is all the stakeholders, need support to be able to bounce back. If I give you a case in point, one of the countries we export to is in France. The government guaranteed the banks, all the banks, to issue a loan to the importers at 0.25% per annum, and giving them a 6 months moratorium to bounce back. Ours, all we hear is prices are increasing, and we're also at the stake of hemorrhaging in terms of just borrowing debt after debt after debt instead of supporting the private sector. The private sector are the ones that will drive our Kenyan economy. Yes.
The industry employs about 350,000 people directly, and about 6 million more people indirectly. There were reports that at the height of the pandemic, there were job losses, running into hundreds of thousands of people. Are these people still jobless, or companies have gone back to hiring?
These people are jobless because, you see, every time you have to look at it from both aspects. Yes, it's one thing when we hear that KRA has exceeded its targets. But when KRA has exceeded its targets, the part that's not being mentioned, and I know personally how many businesses have gone belly up. They've literally thrown in the towels. They're unable to sustain. So KRA can have exceeded their targets, but at what expense? They claim that there's a listening ear. There's no listening ear. It's at the expense of businesses that have actually collapsed.
So how many jobs have been lost so far as we speak?
I would just be guessing. I would guess easily close to 1 million.
As Avovec,
yes.
Have you been forced to lay off workers?
Absolutely. It's if we cannot export, if we cannot, and the industry comes to basically to a standstill, then we have had to do that. But we've had to make painful decisions to still keep the core essential staff as we prepare also to bounce back. So have we had to? Yes, we have had. Has it been painful? Extremely painful. Mm-hmm. Yes.
And how are you close to getting back to business, to pre-pandemic level business?
We are just pretty much close by now depleting all our reserves. We have farmed up our orders for 2022, and we are now geared up to double our production. We are going to go into 24-hour shifts to be able to pull back from 2021 and 2020. So that's what we're going to do. We're doubling up, and we're set, including opening a new factory, a new place that will be processing to meet our current international orders.
What happens if you're going to dry up your reserves?
Mm-hmm. Drying up our reserves, we have to look at, this is my country. So I have to do everything in my powers as the CEO and chairman of Avovec to be able to bounce back. By bouncing back, even some of the staff members released will be rejoining us in January. So that's just a comfort that we're able to give them. So there's just no option. We have to do it, and we have to double up and our reserves. Our hope was that we would get some of the stimulus package to be able to recover from some of the losses we have anticipated.
Mm-hmm. Yes. How critical is this stimulus package to your business?
My business, my friendly competitors who were other competitors, other CEOs, it is critical to the sustainability. Some who even have thrown in the towel with the stimulus package could decide to come back in the game to be able to export fresh produce, not only avocados, but we're also doing vegetables.
Do you have any idea how many companies have gone belly up?
The ones that I know, at least 10. And
10?
Yes, at least 10 that have gone belly up. Literally, their machines, equipment's up for auction, all these components. That's why I was saying last time, it's one good aspect to say that your CRB has been sponged, but what is the key? Why were you listed on CRB? If it's directly related to COVID, the loan still needs to be paid. I see some people so excited that my CRB record is cleared up. I say, does that mean you're not going to pay your loan? No, I have to. So this kind of stimulus package is something that's necessary to the very fiber of our Kenyan economy. Mm-hmm. Yes.
When you're talking about 10 companies that have closed their business down, yes, of course this is loss of revenue for many people. Do you have an idea how many people have been impacted by that?
If you even look at an average of an SME, some of the companies that I do know, average they have about 50 employees. So if you take that times 10, then of course that becomes about 500.
500.
Yes.
Those are the people who are directly employed, yes, in that company.
Yes.
And then they have dependents.
Of course.
They have suppliers.
Yes.
So the ripple effect is likely to be major.
I can tell you, I've sat with both men and women CEOs who literally are tearing in front of me, can't believe they have lost their businesses. It is painful to see it. And the hope is like, will this stimulus package ever happen? And even if it does happen, it should go through a monitoring body like Kenya Fresh Produce Association. Why? Because they'll be able to monitor, these are genuine companies that are registered with them, so that they can actually benefit. This would have a humongous benefit, because a bounce back as an entrepreneur, it never takes, some people think it takes a week or two. It will take us at least 6 months just to start recovery. Mm-hmm. Yes.
6 months to start recovery.
Yes.
Has the government, would you say that the government has been very supportive of the industry in its recovery?
The government has been supportive with words, but not with action. So has been supportive with words, which is sad, because when you hear that, especially from the head of state, it gives you a level of comfort. But when it stops there, in terms of the delegation to the specific departments, then it's all about politicking, listening with no action. So it's words as the businesses go belly up, as KRA announces how much they've exceeded their targets. I'm like, what world are some people living in? Let's live in the world of what we go through daily. Yes, there's a total disconnect.
Do you believe that there is political goodwill to help this industry?
Political goodwill is there. Is there action after that? No.
So there is a lot of talk,
yes,
but no work.
No work, zero support.
A lot of backing, but no biting.
Correct.
So how do we then need to connect, from the talk to the walk and from the back to the biting?
We would need to connect. I always said if I ever came, not that I'll run for politics, if I ever became in specific position, I would put someone in that department that actually has the experience in that department. For example, if somebody was handling roads, then I would make sure that they actually have a company where they've handled roads and have the experience. So that when an entrepreneur says, this is how I feel, you actually feel. Now, calling for a specific roundtable meeting to be able to look at these are the challenges. If we do not have this kind of support, there is a possibility that we would go belly up. So having a roundtable meeting with action points and specific timelines. I always say a decision is not a decision without a date and time. Not saying I will do it in due time or in due course. That's answering nothing.
You see, when you look at the performance of the sector in 2020, the industry returned about 150 billion shillings in terms of revenue. However, a significant portion of this went into air freight.
Yes.
Okay. And now the questions are coming. How do we reduce the cost of freight in this country to ensure that a lot of revenue from horticulture does not end up with multinational cargo or shipping agents?
Some of it, if you look at the air freight and all those other components, when we increase the cost of fuel, everything is pegged on that. So that means the air freight, as a form of additional taxation to collect more, you're collecting more from companies and individuals or groups who are not exporting or exporting less, but you want to collect more. So we have to rethink and actually have the right party, the right group, listening us with action and timeline, saying the stimulus package was directed by the president, our president, 1.5. Why isn't it being released? And we have a small group of panel related to businessmen who are in this sector, who are able to say, okay, by when, to who, and then we have a strategy on how this will be done. But for now, it's just about our economy, our Kenyan economy is going to hemorrhage. Well, with all this borrowing, how about focus on the private sector that's driving this economy? Those are the real heroes of Kenya.
Your organization is a member of Kenya Private Sector Alliance,
yes, it is.
Which has a very strong lobbying platform with the highest office in the land. Has it picked up this issue?
I think it's picked up the issue, but not with the urgency that it deserves. We're looking at like just a regular day event, so not with the urgency that it deserves. They have picked it up, but they've not, where the rubber meets the road, nothing really as much is happening.
There are also claims or allegations that the reason why the government or the National Treasury is yet to release the 1.5 billion shillings is because there are different factions, within the sector. And so the real question is, who do you deal with in dispensing the 1.5 billion shillings stimulus package? To what extent is there truth in that statement?
There's a lot of disorder, but if we have a special purpose vehicle, like when something goes out of control, the government would create a special purpose vehicle to investigate a specific thing. Something has gone wrong. COVID is a form of, we have gone into a form of a war. And the war is, how do we save the Kenyan economy by saving the SMEs? So forming urgently with an entrepreneur, with somebody that's actually in that sector, and with a body that actually listens out, like the Kenya Fresh Produce group of associations. Yes.
Is this being done?
The CEO of OJPAT has been to Treasury 3 or 4 times. It's a lot of talk with no action. We hear you, we understand you, that's it, we'll look into it. Guess what? No timeline, nothing, we'll look into it.
How long do you think this is likely to continue?
Sadly, if it continues, I talked to you about 10 companies that I know of, it will increase. So it has to be someone with almost like the level of an iron fist, saying that, listen, this has to be done for the benefit of our Kenyan economy. With that, we'll also be borrowing less. We're always constantly borrowing from international bodies. That's not solving anything. It's just a temporary solution. Yes, the borrowing is temporary solutions when we should be looking at the very fiber of our businesses in Kenya. Yes.
When you look at the horticulture industry, fruits and vegetables, I mean, the consumption here in Kenya, we consume about 95% of all fruits and vegetables that are produced here. But when you look at flowers, I mean, we export more than 90% of all the flowers. And there has been arguments that this is something that we need to relook so that you have a balance. As an industry, is this something that you're looking at?
As we become more and more aware and become more health conscious, it's actually happening naturally. The Europeans or the Americans have been able to look at the health benefits of taking the avocado. We used to be told an apple a day keeps the doctor away. It's actually the avocado. It also has health benefits to fight against COVID in terms of offsetting the pH balance in your stomach. So as we become more health conscious, yes, it will happen. We are becoming more health conscious as a nation, becoming more aware in terms of how we need to keep up with our health. Yes, so it will happen.
Are we encouraging more Kenyans, you know, to embrace the culture of buying and giving out flowers so that we can boost the flower industry in Kenya?
Okay, don't see how much we're encouraging, because that only seems to come up as a hot topic during Valentine's in February for one single day. Apart from that, maybe it's just a culture that because Europe or overseas in the Western, they see the value of buying the flowers, and in Kenyans is a bit different. So I'm not focusing so much on that, and that's not my key sector, but in terms of seeing do we actually show that form of affection of flowers. If I walked out of here and walked through Nairobi right now with flowers saying I'm taking my wife, there would be a lot of laughter. I'm like, what's so funny about me taking flowers to my wife?
So why what do we need to do to change this culture whereby we see flowers, you know, giving of flowers, you know, as a just one day occasion, or when somebody is in hospital?
Yes. I think what we need to do is to start with ourselves, which comes to each of, I know the power of one multiplied continues. So I still buy my wife flowers, I still take her flowers. Yes, I get laughter, and with my friends and colleagues, I still mention to them the importance of being able to buy the flowers and show the level of affection. Not only buy the flowers during the time of in hospital or the time of when we're attending funerals.
And I remember back in the year 2000, you know, early 2010, 2008, 2011, 2012, the Kenya Flower Council, I mean, used to be very aggressive in encouraging people to buy flowers and support the local flower industry. But somehow this went quiet. Are we looking at reviving this kind of initiatives to ensure that we boost the uptake of flowers and vegetables in this country?
I think it's something that would be done. Of course, someone who's handling flowers would look at the business aspect also of it. If I can export my flower and get X amount more than getting it on this side. Sometimes we over-negotiate when we're buying the flowers, start saying that's too expensive. Yet you're not thinking about the value of what it means for your loved one as far as buying the flowers. So a shift in the mentality will have to take place for us Kenyans to be able to add more value on that. But like I said, it's not my main sector, but that's just my personal opinion.
That's your personal opinion.
Yes.
Let's go back to veggies and you know, and fruit, and because that is your domain.
Yes.
There has been calls that we need to diversify our export markets, yes. but we seem to be doing so little, and almost 70% of our fruits and vegetables, they end up in the European markets where they impose stringent measures. Are we looking at other markets?
We're looking at, even in coming to AvoVeg itself, we have now started exporting. The mango season is on, so we're exporting now to the Middle East. So we're looking at markets in the Middle East and into Oman. We are exporting into Oman. We are exporting also into Dubai. So yes, we are looking at other markets so that we don't solely depend on the European markets alone. Yes.
What about the African markets?
African markets now would come to the viability in terms of matching the international prices that we're getting. Yes. Yes.
But when you look at the prices that you're likely to get, like for example, let's say Uganda, Tanzania, or Burundi, minus the freight charges, I mean, are you likely to be in good business when you are doing business within the region?
For now, no. For now, to be good business within even our surrounding neighbors, it would not match what we're currently getting, even by exporting to Europe. For now, no. And some of the surrounding countries also grow their own, in this case, own avocados. And then there's different varieties. There's the variety that we export. There's also the variety that we consume locally. Yes.
So you're still of the opinion that the regional market is not as lucrative as you would say the European market in terms of cost?
In terms of cost, no. And if you look at, let's say Uganda also grows its own avocados. And when we're exporting to Europe, we're exporting to countries a majority who cannot grow their own avocados. So as compared to our neighbors who can grow their own avocados, so there's quite a bit of a difference there. Yes.
Let's talk about the economic partnership agreement, I mean, which was expected to help catapult the industry, to the next level. When Kenya signed the EPAs on its own, I mean, there was huge uproar, from our regional peers. But has this in any way helped shield the industry from collapse?
It has helped so far, again, sorry to say, but has helped with talk, but not much action that follows after it. So where we're lacking is very good talk and PR, but action, no.
What action would you as an industry be looking to see in order for you to say, yes, at least finally we have managed to beat that corner?
There would be action in terms of even sometimes if, let's say, to get an order to export to our neighboring countries, it in some cases could take longer to export to our neighbors than it would take to export to let's say even Dubai. With the current state of our infrastructure, yes, a lot is being done, but a lot more still needs to be done. The current state of our infrastructure, we're dealing with perishables, so this becomes key in terms of the reliability on the air freight, or if it's sea, or the local transport. So that is still in its infancy stage. A lot has been done, but a lot more needs to be done. Yes.
So when you say that we need to invest more in infrastructure, I mean, there is a lot of investment in the infrastructure sector, be it roads, the expansion of the ports, the airports. So how comes this is not enough?
There's a lot of infrastructure that's ongoing. So is it going to be enough? Yes, but also keep in mind that we are still a growing economy. So as we look at it, sometimes planning ahead, not just for the next 2 or 3 years, but planning ahead for 10, for 20, now we're talking about 20, 30. So there is a lot going in the positive aspect that's happening. When will we feel those positive effects? In my view, in another 2 or 3 years. But it is happening.
It is happening.
Yes.
Let's also look at the issue of the cost of electricity. I mean, and we have seen an increase, but we have also seen government saying that it is looking at reducing these by 33% on Christmas Eve. What has been the damage of high energy cost to the industry?
High energy cost for the industry, if you look at the current high energy cost, naturally all those costs we have to pass on to our customers, and it puts us, being a bigger economy even than our neighbors, the surrounding countries, we have an upper hand, but we become disadvantaged when we talk about, now we're saying Christmas Eve. For now, we're almost like on a wait and see approach. But if we know the industry costs are high, and just the same way the government sometimes will take action, why not do it with immediate effect? We already know it's a problem. So I do not understand why prolong. We're saying now till Christmas Eve, New Year's Eve. Why prolong it? If it's going to help the industry, our Kenya start to bounce back. I don't understand why wait. With immediate effect, sometimes our president or different ministries can say this takes place with immediate effect. The curfew was lifted with immediate effect. So some of these components, are they going to be beneficial? 100%. So I don't understand why are we waiting? If we know it's going to benefit, why wait? Let's do it immediately.
Let's look at a situation whereby, you know, on 25th of this year, of December this year, power bills come down by 33%. Would this be a relief to the industry?
100%. It will be a huge relief. Even in our, if it's actually actualized, it will be a huge relief. Even in our bounce back strategy for 2022. Yes.
What impact will this have on your production cost?
This would reduce our production cost by even 3, 4, 5% in terms of reducing our production cost. In the industry that we're doing and the volumes that we're doing, that's a huge savings. Huge. Yes.
A savings of about 3, 4, 5%.
Yes.
Will be good enough for the industry.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Anything as an entrepreneur, anything that where you can save a 1 or 2% is a huge benefit for the bottom line, and especially if you're recovering back from the shocks of the COVID, it's now double benefit.
Are you likely to hire more people if this happens?
Absolutely. As I was mentioning earlier, we're going to go, in order to meet our targets for 2022, we have to do a 24-hour shift, which we're gearing up also to hire the second team as we speak, in readiness now to start the new season and the new year 2022. Yes.
The government just the other day had banned, the export of avocados on grounds that some of the avocados that were being exported were not mature enough. How has this impacted companies like you that rely on the export of avocados and fruits?
See, the word that hits the media, the word ban, the avocados have not been banned, but it will get a lot of traction when media hear the word ban. It's more of a restriction. You see, when you export an avocado that's not mature, in terms of the dry matter, it will never ripen. And this becomes where we damage the very fiber of the industry in Kenya, where our clients, Peru, can fetch a better price for the avocados. Reason being, they will not export, they will follow government directives. So there's no ban in place. It's a restrictive measure to allow in preparation for the next season. We cannot do sea shipments, but minimal air shipments with avocado that has achieved maturity will be still exported. So, but it's to put a hold, let me use the word not ban, but to put a temporary hold to allow our fruits to mature. That's all. Yes.
Who was, using the word that you're saying, that you're using, stopping, the export of avocados. Who was these directed to, or who was likely to feel the impact of this?
The ones who would feel the impact of exporting avocados that are not yet mature, unfortunately, it's usually the scrupulous exporters who do not maybe even own pack houses and what we call third-party processors. They just want to export, not really looking at the very fiber of the image of Kenya. Because these fruits, if they were allowed to live in the container loads, would arrive, never ripen. Then we have complaints into our different embassies stating that Kenya's exporters are exporting immature fruits. So for us, and this hold or limitation, we look at it as positive, because we want to follow the regulations and we want to export quality products that are mature.
And this now goes back to the issue of brokers in the business, and they have in the past managed to afflict serious damages, to the horticulture industry in this Kenya. Why is it so hard to deal with unscrupulous business people in this business?
Some of it goes like now, as we steadily weed out brokers. It's been a fight as far as that goes, but we do it because some of the farmers have been convinced by the brokers that Nairobi is, because we have pack houses here in Embakasi, Nairobi, have been convinced that getting to Nairobi is a very big challenge. It's like you're traveling to another country. So we organize specific vans, we organize events, we bring them to see where their fruits are going. We educate them on the value of how to pick, the methods to pick, and support as far as that level. But the brokers would be very successful to convince the farmers otherwise, but we have also become very successful to convince the farmers, this is your product. You've put in your blood, sweat and tears to be able to grow it, to be able to nurture it. Organize so that this can be processed, in our case at Avovage, to be able to handle that. So brokers would want to look out for their own pockets, and they would gain more profit, sadly to say, than the farmer themselves.
Let's, for example, pick avocados, because there has been a serious avocado farming in Kenya, and more so in the Mount Kenya region. Unfortunately, farmers are ending up being exploited by brokers, because one piece of hash avocado, farmers are selling these at 5 shillings, at 6 shillings. Correct. The same on the international market fetches almost 200 shillings.
Correct.
So how do we shield our farmers and ensure that they enjoy maximum benefits, or they reap maximum benefits from their fruits?
I would advise, which is what we have also started to do at Avovage again, is form associations. You know, through forming a circle and association, you form now a stronger group, and then you agree on a specific price with the specific exporter, which is what we are doing. So it will not fluctuate, and this will be the amount that will be paid directly to the association with the group of farmers. So the way to do that is to form associations within subgroups and groups. That's the best way to do it, and it is happening, and for us it has started to work. Mm-hmm. Yes.
We have seen a situation whereby a lot of farmers are cashing in, and of course are venturing into avocado farming, and a lot of them, they do not have a clear knowledge of how this farming is done. Mm-hmm. First of all, is there money in avocado farming?
Absolutely, 100%.
So what do you need to do, to tap those resources that are there?
You see, it starts from, always make sure you start things right. How you start is more important than just getting started very quickly. The kind of seedling that you buy. It's just like if you want to buy a specific, let's say dog or something, you have to buy the pedigree. So you have to start right by buying the right seedling from the certified associations or the certified groups that do supply the seedlings, because the yield output will be a lot higher. And then you go into training of husbandry, how to take care of the avocado, the fact that it needs a lot of water and all those components. By following the steps and going through that training, and then finally how to prune, and then how to pick. With that, we have farmers today, including Avovage, I can tell you, that started off 2 or 3 years ago with bicycles. Today they own trucks, they own vehicles, not from bank money, but profits that they made directly from Avovage.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I have seen a situation whereby, and this is happening a lot, especially in Kiambu County, yes, whereby farmers are uprooting coffee, they are uprooting tea bushes, and they are planting, yes, avocados. Mm-hmm. Is this a wise move financially going forward?
100%. It's a wise move on many aspects. One, population is still increasing. I told you the use of the avocados coffee can have maybe just 1 or 2 uses, but the avocado has many uses. Now go to Art Cafe, go to the different restaurants, you have avocado toast, and these are all part of the healthy form of diets that you can take. So as I said, the avocado chocolate, cooking with it, the milkshake, so you cannot go wrong on that one. And that's why Kenya has come from not even top 50 to number 8 in just 20 years. That's amazing.
It's amazing.
Yes, it is.
What about mangoes? I mean, in this country, the weather is perfect for mango farming, and especially on the lower eastern side of this country and the upper eastern side of this country. So how comes farmers there are yet to be empowered to know the value of the fruits that they have and start, cashing in on the export market?
When it comes to mangoes, it's also an industry that's coming up quite a bit. The component that we have to have even on farmers, and if you look at the avocados and mangoes, it's a crop that takes a little bit of time to start producing. So the first crop would take, in the avocado part, would take 4 years. But you'll be picking from this very tree for the next 35 years. O'Brien, that's going to be, I assume by then you'll even be retired. So, and you see, it's a benefit that crosses one generation to the next. Mm-hmm. On the mangoes, is not because of not following procedure, by putting the fruit fly trap. This is what is damaging the mangoes, where they did not meet European standards. But that was just lifted this year. So now we are able to export even to Europe if we have followed the procedure and have the right certification. So by being able to follow procedure, the sky and beyond is we can continue. Yes.
What about passion farming?
Passion farming is another aspect. We have also started exporting passion fruit. So we have the best climate. If you even travel to some of these other places, even being in Dubai the other day, you have to go from building to building because it's too hot. And it's in the 40s to 50s. We have the best soils, and all of this, the best climate, the best soils, and the longest season. Even for veggies, we can do that. We are doing that 12 months of the year. So we have all these advantages, but we want to focus on the disadvantages. To focus on disadvantages, follow procedure, follow the procedures. You will benefit from the farmers, from all the other value-add products. Yes.
And so, because there is so much demand, for vegetables, for fruit, even on the international market. So why haven't we then taken time to educate our farmers who are still struggling with maize and beans farming in this country?
Some is almost like generational, where your grandfather did it, so your father does it, and then you want to do it without looking at the value. Do we take time? We do. We do have training sessions. We do have get-together sessions. We do have time for bonding with our farmers, as one of our core values is family. So with that, we have the training, we have the appreciation, we have the understanding. We have farmers right now who supply us from 20-year-old to 87-year-old. And the 87-year-old actually drives his own truck that he bought through profits from Avavage. So education is taking place.
Nathan, I mean, if you have 10 acres in Kitale, would you grow maize?
No.
Or avocados?
Avocados.
You go for avocados?
Absolutely.
Why not maize?
Avocados, look at, if one is able to be patient for 3 years and to follow through the proper procedure, for 35 years, that avocado tree will be at peak performance. I'm talking about 35 years. Which other investment, even putting your money in a bank or doing other things, you will not earn that kind of return on investment. Absolutely not. So for me to be avocado, because of the industry and because I've done my own homework and research.
Is the climate there conducive for avocado farming or vegetable farming?
Yes, it is. It is. You have to have access to water, but the climate is conducive, and preferably having red soil. Yes.
So as an industry, I mean, have you taken this message to the people down there?
We have taken the message. We have Moranga, we have Nyeri, we have Embu, we have Nakuru. So we're taking our message. We also have Bomet now, and Bomet, we brought the whole group to Avavage last year for training, for appreciation, for understanding. So yes, we're doing it steadily, and we're also encouraging the farmers to form circles and associations so that we can weed out the middlemen. Yes.
So what would happen if you have a situation whereby so many people adopt fruit farming and vegetable farming? Will we have market?
We cannot keep up with the demand. The market is just continuing to increase and increase and increase. I mean, if you look at Netherlands, if you look at France, if you look at Spain, if you look at Germany, if you look at the UK, market with Avavage and even with other competitors, we can't keep up. We're just told to keep up with the quality standards. But with demand, it's only increasing.
It's
only getting better and better.
It's getting better and better.
Absolutely.
What is your message to the people who are watching and listening to you? And they're asking themselves, I mean, look here. I mean, I've been doing maize farming, beans farming in the last 30, 40 years. And now, listening to Nathan, he wants me to have a shift, a 360-degree shift. So how do I do that?
The message would be from testimony of our current farmers. The testimonies from our current farmers who, some of them were doing other products, were doing coffee, were doing all those components, and testimonies for them to be able to say, even this 87-year-old man who drives himself and comes to Avavage, it's to be able to say, listen, I'm not talking, but this is what I've been able to do. And then I always say, have the expert handle the area of expertise. I'm not an agronomist, but would provide our agronomist to be able to offer support and to be able to answer the right questions. There's nothing worse than pretending to know what you don't know. Yes.
Very good. As we end up this interview, I mean, what is your message to the government that is listening to this program? And what kind of help would you be looking at, to come through from government circles?
I'll say turn words into action and set timelines. And so that when the head of state mentions there's a stimulus package of 1.5 billion, delegate that to a specific group and ask for a report back within this specific timeline. We don't need to wait. The time is now, so our government needs to become more connected. It needs to become more connected with the true realities of what's happening on the ground. Not someone floating up there in the clouds, but the true realities of what's happening on the ground. We can do it. We have the beauty. We have number 8 in the world. We have the soils. We have the climate. We have everything. We have the clients. We have the know-how. We have the experience. But let's go with that phrase of tuko pamoja, because so far we're tuko pamoja.
Nathan,
yes,
thank you very much indeed for finding time to be with us this morning, and of course sharing your insight with us. Asante sana.
Thank you very much.
Nathan Lloyd Ndongo is the CEO of and chairman of AvaVeg, joining us here to give us an update of how the status, or what is the status of the horticulture industry here in Kenya. You have heard it from him. There are challenges and of course there are opportunities. This is BizCheck. You're watching us live from Broadcasting House at O'Brien. Kimani is my Twitter handle at KBC Channel 1. The next conversation that is taking place here is the micro-lending business. What is the way forward? Do we regulate this industry, or do we leave the industry to regulate itself? Those are some of the questions that we shall be answering right now, right here. Stay right here. This is BizCheck.
My name is Posire Marupe and I was told to come to this class.
No wonder. You know, some of us pay our own school fees. We do not have the so-called daddies to pay for us.
Can you imagine me and Will Smith are literally buddies? Sorry, Jada.
How do you like if I pay your fee alias?
Kilanzwin, that is not enough even for dowry.
You concentrate. Who is paying your dowry?
Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.
This snake has no venom, but it's clearly not harmless because it's a python and it's incredibly strong.
Those are devils. They need to be killed. So I said, no, I think they need their life. They go to the local mgangas, they die.
The amount of venom that came out of it, minute. This is enough to kill an elephant.
If somebody's afraid of snakes, I am actually the dawa. I know how to get rid of those fear. My name is Boniface Momanyi, and I am a wildlife warrior.
As long as their life could be improved a bit, I'll feel a little less guilty.
Get more court officials. Make it big so that everyone's talking. I just want the whole world to know that Hong Yun-xian is a scourge.
Disappoint him? Since he took you, he's only had praise for you. He never said one good thing about me.
I've thought over and over, and I think only you can help her.
We take it on at the right time.
Honorable Musalia Mudavadi.
The Honorable Mutahi Kagwe.
Chief Justice Martha Karambuko.
This is KBC, is the voice of Kenya.
Asking the right questions.
I don't know how it made you feel as speaker who is presiding over a house where members can be compromised with 10,000 shillings.
We keep our guests comfortable. A mission to ensure our audience gets a complete story.
For a few hours or so, I thought this is it. My end has come.
If really we want an end of this pandemic, we must fight.
Our goal, to tell it as it is for the benefit of our viewer.
And I'm sure we will have good discussions.
All right.
That will make probably your viewers understand KDF better.
With 21 radio outlets.
During a live interview on KBC TV, Chief of Defense Forces General Robert Kibosh.
Jaji mkuu kwa mara ya kwanza katika mahojiano yake ya kipekee na runinga ya KBC Channel 1.
And 2 TV stations covering over 90% of the entire country. The message always gets home. KBC, the home of on-air TV interviews.
The coastal region is a construction site, literally. From highways and byways to ports and shiny roads, the evidence is there to be seen and to be touched. But what are the economic benefits of all these projects?
Better connectivity, more efficient roads, give people an opportunity to actually acquire land away from a busy commercial center and go to areas where land is cheaper, and therefore use the excess money to invest into productive activities.
This week on Inside Government, we focus our trail on infrastructural development at the coast, and we are talking to the chairperson of Kenya National.
Well, if you wanted to fight, you should have brought more men.
There are whispers of a Hebrew with great strength. It is a story for slaves, nothing more.
I want you to investigate this.
You find me the secret of his power, my Delilah.
Who's this God who gives you such strength?
3 vows were bestowed upon me. No wine, no touching the dead, no cutting of my hair.
Kulu minat toyibat, yani kuleni katika vitu ambavyo ni vyema, na pia mtekeleze vitende vyema, na kando na hilo msiingize mikono yenu katika maangamivu.
Mwenyezi Mungu Subhanahu wa Ta'ala mazungumza, mkuleni kitu halali lakini msikule kitu ambaye haramu Mwenyezi Mungu ameharamisha.
Allah ya Mulan.
Mwanamke wenda zimu huyu.
Mke wangu si mwenda wazimu.
Sikiza, unapojishirikisha na wazimu pia wewe utakuta wazimu.
Hii nyumba iko kama polisi, haishi vituko kila siku hii. Maya hujanielewa.
Nakuelewa vizuri sana Bandi.
Lakini siwezi.
Sasa mimi nakuonya. Achana na haya mambo.
Nilikuwa nataka kumzaa na Antipili mimi.
Ulikuwa utakumwambia nini Antipili?
Tangu kuzinduliwa kwa vigezo vinne vikuu vya ajenda ya maendeleo na rais zijulikanazo kama the Big Four Agenda, serikali za kaunti zimeanzisha baadhi ya miradi inayoambatana na vigezo hivyo.
This Big Four Agenda provides young persons with multiple avenues for self-fulfillment, economic empowerment, dignified living, as well as service to Kenya.
Kaunti ya Kitui imeanzisha miradi ya kuzalisha bidhaa mbalimbali huku ikibuni nafasi za kazi na kukuza uchumi.
Governor zote tungechukua hii Big Four Agenda. Hii ndio game changer.
Ijumaa hii saa 2:30 jioni katika KBC Channel 1, tazama jinsi kaunti ya Kitui ilivyowekeza katika miradi inayolingana na the Big Four.
Well, if you just joined us, we are live from Broadcasting House, and of course this is BizCheck, whereby we highlight some of the issues that are taking place in the business world here in Kenya as well as outside our boundaries. My name is O'Brien Kimani. We have been discussing the horticulture industry in Kenya, its current status, the challenges, and of course the opportunities. And you have heard it all from Nathan Lloyd from Alvaveg. Time now to shift focus and of course now talk about the micro lending business, if you like it, the digital lenders. You know the noise that has been in this industry with questions regarding regulations as well as predatory lending habits. These issues are being looked into by various regulators. I'm not joined by Stella Mombi. She's the country growth manager for Tala, and she's also a techie, so she knows a thing or two about this industry. Thank you very much, Stella, for joining us here. There has been so much that has happened in the last 1 year in this industry. What is the status of the industry as we speak now?
I think there has definitely been a lot happening. In addition to regulation that you already started to talk about, there was the COVID pandemic that really affected all industries, not just the digital lending industry. So if you ask me about the status, I'd say similarly to the economy, everything is kicking up. It's looking hopeful. Even as we're at the cusp of regulation and also as the economy has completely opened up right now, we're feeling optimistic. Yeah.
And optimistic for you means what?
It means that we'll be able to continue operating, and we'll be able to even better scale operations. So that means getting credit and increasing access to credit across the country. So a company like Tala has been in existence for about 7 years in this market. So it just means that we're continuing to serve our customers and even increasing our boundaries, right, and reaching even more Kenyans. Yeah.
The kind of noise that we have been hearing, with the digital lenders, being accused of practicing what would be classified as predatory lending tactics, noise about regulations and so much. Has this somehow dampened your client?
I wouldn't say dampened. I think what you're talking about is very true, right? When we started about 7 years back in the market, we were the market pioneers. However, over that 7-year period, we got about 300 other digital lenders. And, there has been a challenge where, we have digital lenders, particularly members of the Digital Lenders Association of Kenya, who are, prioritizing being responsible lenders and using fair lending and collections practices. And then we've had a few unsavory actors who actually ended up taking up the airwaves and just causing a bit of a challenge in the industry and just not being a safe environment for consumers. However, through some of the work that we have been doing as Tala and also as DILAC, we have continuously increased awareness among consumers to just make it very clear around this is not correct, right? If your family being contacted is not correct, etc. And really highlighting this are the digital lenders that are safe as an option for you to use. So, back to your question around, how has it affected consumers? I think, there was an effect, but, we have been doing everything in our power to sort of counter that. Yeah.
So there was discussion on as to whether the industry should be left to regulate itself, or we should have the intervention of regulators like the Central Bank of Kenya, the Communications Authority of Kenya, coming in to exactly supervise what you are doing. Are you pro regulations, or what is your position?
Yeah, no, that's a really good question. And I think, as we've maintained across the board, we're fully in support of regulation. We do believe that regulation will come in and help to streamline the industry. And in addition to that, we'll do two key things. One is, just ensure there's a safe operating environment for consumers. That has not been the case, right? And secondly, continue to, by having, good regulation regulation, continue to strengthen and cement Kenya's position as a financial leader in the market. So we have that opportunity of setting the pace. So that continues to be true, and I think as we've maintained, and we've actually been part of this process as the bill has been going about, we've just ensured that we're communicating fully around let's have regulation that doesn't stifle the industry, but that continues to propel the growth and the power that tech is bringing into the market. Yeah.
Are you of the opinion that government should regulate the cost of credit among digital lenders?
That's a really good question. I think that becomes a challenge. Just drawing back to a couple of years back in the banking sector, right? We did see some of the effects that came up from pricing caps in general. And for us, we have been very clear around we are against very stringent pricing parameters that make it hard for consumers to continue accessing credit. However, we are open to having these conversations with the regulator to figure out, what is a fair implementation strategy that moves us from, the point that we're at with the CBK Act to a point of compliance and just implementation of the policies. Yeah.
But do you also agree that there are some players within this industry who are exploiting their lenders by offering them loans at an exorbitant rate?
Yes, that would be true, right? And I think if you do look at the DALAC members and specifically Tala, one of the things that we're very key about is making it very clear what the terms of the loans are. So charging a single one-time fee and communicating that very clearly to the customer in a way that they understand, so that they know from the moment I take this loan, this is the cost that this loan will incur, and there are no hidden charges to it.
I was going through the credit barometer report that was released by DALAC, whereby they were saying that 30% of borrowers, they have at some point defaulted on paying their loans, and one of the reasons that was cited was because of high interest rates. What should be done to remedy this situation?
That's a good question, and I of course cannot speak to the specific lenders that they had taken that loan from, because I'm not sure. However, I think in terms of innovation, there is something called risk-based pricing, for example. So that is an initiative that a lot of new age digital lenders such as Tala are using, which allows customers to continuously get lower interest rates as they're staying longer with the lender and actually exhibiting good behavior. So such opportunities, for example, with Tala, enable you to get up as low as 5% interest rates, which is the lowest in the market. And
5%, you're talking about monthly or?
Yeah, so we don't think about it as monthly or not. It's per term of the loan, because when you're taking a loan, our tenure is 21 or 30 days. So for that term loan, you get 5% interest rate on that term loan.
So that is, if your loan tenure is between 21 and 30 days, so it means that for 1 month, I'm likely to pay an interest rate of about 5%.
Yes, which is, extremely revolutionary for the market, right? Because these are loans that are not collateralized in any way, and the underwriting is happening purely off of, the data that we're collecting from your phone. So, that is, a really, really key fit as compared to, other secured loans that are being offered in the market.
So if you're offering your loans at a return of 5%, I mean, in an industry whereby SACCOs will offer the same at 1% and banks will do the same at 1.4%, I mean, don't you think the digital lenders are overly outpriced in this market?
Yeah, no, so that's why I'd correct you and just clarify. So SACCOs, they're giving you credit off of the deposit that you have with them, similarly to banks. So when you come to a digital lender such as Tala, taking the level of risk that this lending is offering, that is actually quite an okay rate, because we don't take any deposits. We're not asking you for a guarantor. We're not asking you for any collateral. So you can see the level of risk that the business is taking up. So, if you compare that to, a bank or, a SACCO that has, hundreds of thousands in your savings and, at that point considers you to be a much lower credit risk, then you can see those are not comparable. It's not an apples to apples comparison.
And the other reason being the fact that, you don't go into specifics as to why I want to borrow. Do you do that?
Not necessarily. So, why you're borrowing is not a factor around, why we give you credit. However, one thing I'd want to mention there is, we do know that over 60% of people borrowing from Tala currently are micro and small businesses. So these are people who need quick funds to inject into their businesses on a day-to-day basis or on a monthly basis to enable them to have cash flow, buy inventory, etc. So, at least we know that that's a primary use case for our loans. Yeah,
because according to that report whereby you heard about almost 20% of people borrowing just to provide for their families, and isn't this a flag, a red flag, when you have a situation whereby people are borrowing, to buy luxurious things like, chairs and all these, and also buying food, isn't this a red flag, that caused the industry, to rethink their lending models?
Yeah, no, but so, I wouldn't think of it in that sort of simple way. So in most cases, when someone says, I'm borrowing to cater for my family, that could be for a couple of reasons, right? So it could be one, they're probably running a business, a payment is delayed. They need something to help cushion the blow at this point. Two, it could be, they've had a shock on their income, right? They probably lost their job, as was the case in COVID. Or, the business has taken a hit in terms of sales. So, in such instances, this is the divide digital lending is bridging. And I don't think it's more around, kind of taking advantage of situations, but it's actually more around how do we enable people to continue being able to continue with their lives, being able to provide for their families, being able to take the children to school despite the everyday happenings in life, right? Which we've probably also experienced, right? Since income can tend to fluctuate.
It is proper to say that, there are players in the market who mean well for the society, who mean well for their clients. And just like any other industry, there are bad apples. So as an industry, how would you deal with the bad apples that are messing up with the ointment?
Yeah, no, that's a good question. And I think what we've traditionally done, and especially under DLAC, has been one, putting out very clear statements to our users, calling out specific lenders who are using unsavory practices, and having that on the local dailies, having that on our social media pages, and continuing consumer education. So, the role that we can play is just primarily, how do we consistently ensure clients and consumers and Kenyans are aware of who's safe versus not, and what should you expect from your lenders, right? This is, for example, with Tala, we're very, very keen on continuing to be a market leader when it comes to responsible lending and making that very, very clear month on month. So probably one last example I'll give you there is, each year during the month of March, we run an event called Money March. So for the entire month, we do a lot of consumer education under all the digital lenders and also the DLAC umbrella, to just educate consumers on, this is what you should expect, this is what fair collection and lending looks like, and this is the power that credit has when used effectively, even by yourself in your day-to-day life. Yeah.
And when I was going through that report by DLAC, on a credit barometer, and when it says that, out of the 1,000, almost 200 people that, were surveyed, when you have a situation whereby 8% of them saying that, they had reduced income, at a time when COVID ravaged this economy and thousands of people were rendered jobless, does it reflect the reality on the ground?
Completely does. Completely does. We did see, a big impact on consumers' income, and more specifically among MSMEs, right? Because the economy closed, you couldn't go outside, that brought a huge challenge. And specifically as Tala on our end, we asked ourselves, how can we be there for businesses and help them to rebuild even as we're rebuilding as a business? And for example, this year we launched the Jijenge Natala grant program, where we're offering non-refundable grants and business skills training for free to businesses that are affected by COVID, with the goal of just getting them back on their feet. Yeah.
One of the issues that has been highlighted as the reason why you're having so many people defaulting on their loan repayment is because people have not been sensitized on proper use of their loans. As lenders, are you picking up this issue?
Yeah, and I think Tala is actually the only digital lending app that has a LAN center within the app. So in our LAN center, what we do is really prioritize financial education for our consumers. So teaching them about how to save, how to invest, how to borrow responsibly, and we know that becomes part of the factors that we're starting to also include internally in our algorithms, right? Around how do we effectively ensure that consumers can and are able to borrow and still maintain their livelihoods. Yeah,
because you have a situation whereby companies, they have acquired illegally, contacts and data of very many Kenyans, and they're using these, to advance their loan agenda. As an industry, what is your position on this?
Yeah, so for us, we're very, very key on data protection and data privacy, and that is one of our key pillars. And even as with the new Data Protection Act going live, those are one of the things that were very key to ensure that we're in full compliance. And one of the things that we want to ensure is customers have agency over their data, and what that means is if you get on our app, in addition to giving us explicit permission and consent, you really understand what you're consenting to, because it's a two-part problem, right? So making sure that customers understand that if we're requesting access to your SMSs, we're very clear on why we need that data, and we're making that clear to you as a consumer, and you can say yes or no. So, and that has not, of course, been the case across the board, but, those are some of the things that we need to streamline as an industry, and we're working on. Yeah.
Very good. And you believe that the proposed regulations will be able to deal with this?
Yes, most definitely.
Very good. Our conversation this morning revolves around the micro lenders, the regulations, and of course the way forward. We are doing things in the company of Stella Mombi, who is the country growth manager for Tala. This is BizCheck. We're taking a short break, and thereafter we'll be back with more conversations. Stay right here.
thing that I do know is my brother. My brother's gonna have my back, and he's gonna honor his word. We got Tom Lawler's back. We've proved it. When with low key, we just hope that he honors his word, and we know that we're gonna give it everything we have.
While I don't fully trust low key, we have a common enemy, Contra.
At the War Chamber, my brother and I, and Tom and low key, we're going to war.
snake has no venom, but it's clearly not harmless because it's a python and it's incredibly strong.
Those are devils. They need to be killed. So I said, no, I think they need their life. They go to Seloko Mgangas, they die.
The amount of venom that came out of it, minute. This is enough to kill an elephant.
If somebody's afraid of snakes, I am actually the dawa. I know how to get rid of those fear. My name is Boniface Momanyi, and I am a wildlife warrior.
My name is Posire Marupe and I was told to come to this class.
No wonder. You know, some of us pay our own school fees. We do not have the so-called daddies to pay for us.
Can you imagine me and Will Smith are literally buddies? Sorry, Jada.
How would you like if I pay your fee alias?
That is not enough even for dowry.
You concentrate. Who is paying your dowry?
Classmates, every Saturday on KBC.
Wiki hii kwenye Mkulima tutaangazia ufugaji wa ng'ombe wa maziwa.
Mara mingi utakuta wakulima wana pool matiti. Hiyo sio njia mzuri ya kukamua ng'ombe. Utakuwa unaumiza matiti ya ng'ombe na ng'ombe inaweza pata mastitis, ugonjwa wa mastitis.
Kisha tuelimishwe kuhusu internet kutoka mwezini inavyonufaisha wafugaji.
Kwa saa hizi lengo yangu ni kusema kwamba nataka itumiwe na wale ambao wako na nia ya kufanya agriculture, that is one. Pili, katika harakati ya masomo, and also fishing in the lake and in the sea, among others.
Ambatana nasi Jumapili saa 9:30 hapa KBC Channel.
Alipakash. Ujambia mtu wako udhonitu rakaraka kuo. Wakati atakuja uchumba, ndio atajua maana ya udhoni.
It will really kill him if he finds out tunamcheza.
Wacha nikwambie ile kitu si kazi. Ni wewe kuja hapa kila siku. Na unatoka kila siku bila pesa. Hiyo ndio si kazi. Go! Toka!
Hebu toka nje. Toka nje.
Pete, relax.
The coastal region is a construction site, literally. From highways and byways to port and shiny roads, the evidence is there to be seen and to be touched. But what are the economic benefits of all these projects?
Better connectivity, more efficient roads, give people an opportunity to actually acquire land away from a busy commercial center and go to areas where land is cheaper and therefore use the excess money to invest into productive activities.
This week on Inside Government, we focus our trail on infrastructural development at the coast, and we are talking to the chairperson of Kenya National Highways Authority, Engineer Wangai Irango, right here on KBC Channel 1.
We take it on at the right time.
Honorable Musalia Mudavadi.
The Honorable Mutahi Kagwe.
Chief Justice Martha Karambuko.
This is KBC, is the voice of Kenya.
Asking the right questions.
I don't know how it made you feel as speaker who is presiding over a house where members can be compromised with 10,000 shillings.
We keep our guests comfortable. A mission to ensure our audience gets a complete story.
For a few hours or so, I thought this is it. My end has come.
If really we want an end of this pandemic, we must fight.
Our goal, to tell it as it is for the benefit of our viewer.
And I'm sure we will have good discussions.
All right.
That will make probably your viewers understand KDF better.
with 21 radio outlets.
During a live interview on KBC TV, Chief of Defense Forces General Robert Kibosha.
Jaji mkuu kwa mara ya kwanza katika mahojiano yake ya kipekee na runinga ya KBC Channel 1.
And 2 TV stations covering over 90% of the entire country. The message always gets home. KBC, the home of on-air TV interviews.
Welcome back. You're watching KBC Channel 1 live from Broadcasting House. This morning, we're having great conversation here around micro lending and what is their position in the market and how do you bring about proper regulations. We've been talking to Stella Mumbi. She's the country growth manager for Tala. And also now joining us is Peter Masharia, Managing Director at Jijenge Credit. All of them are in the business of selling money. Yes, you're right. Thank you very much indeed, Masharia, for joining us. Where do you classify? You're not a bank, you're not a SACCO, you're not a micro lender. Where do you fall in this whole ecosystem?
Thank you very much, O'Brien, and for our viewers. Jijenge Credit falls in that the lowest segment of a financial institution. That is a non-deposit taking microfinance. Because for us to go to the next stage, you need to deposit 100 million with central bank so that you can be allowed to take deposits. And thereafter, if you want to become a bank, we deposit a billion with central bank to be a fully fledged bank. Mm-hmm. That is Jijenge Bank. Mm-hmm. God willing.
God willing.
Yes.
You see, for micro lenders, I mean, they use artificial intelligence, big data, to analyze and, of course, give credit scores to their clients. Yes. What kind of information do you use? I mean, when you're gauging between who to lend to and who not to lend to?
Thank you very much. As at Jijenge, we are still using the traditional methods of lending, which I believe most banks are using. But we still embrace some technology because we do credit analysis, which enables us to ensure and verify that the amount borrowed and the borrower has the capacity to repay back the funds. Mm-hmm. Because lending is very easy. Giving out money, it's very easy. Even here in this studio, if you just say that you are about to lend, there will be a whole queue here. But the question is, and that is where the rubber meets the road, do they have the ability to pay back? Mm-hmm. Yes.
What is the default rate in your industry?
We ensure that we maintain the CBK parameters, that is a PR of 5%. But on our end, we give ourselves 3%. We try to maintain it as low as possible. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because most of our funds are fully secured. Our interest rates are lower than the digital lenders. Mm-hmm. Yes.
So, because for you, I mean, all your loans are not collateralized in the sense that you don't ask for security, to offer your loans. So, what happens in the instance that I default on, I decide not to pay?
Yeah. So that's a good question. I think, first thing that we do have as a company is a grace period that we give our customers. After, the due date actually gets to it, we give them a grace period to just allow them to repay, right? Because there are quite a number of shocks that the consumers could have had. Mm-hmm. After the grace period ends, then we charge a one-time fee of 8% late fee. And for that fee that we charge, whether you repay in 30 days or in 365 days, it is a flat fee. So, your loan will not continue to compound interest. And after that, then we're able to work with our in-house collections team to just figure out what a payment plan could look like. It could be that, you really, a lot of customers are actually very well intentioned. However, life happens. So if life has happened, then let's talk about it. Let's figure out how you can repair so that we ensure you remain in our good books. Yeah.
Jijenge, I mean, if I borrow and I don't pay, what measures do you take in place before you can finally auction my security?
Thank you. The first thing we do as an organization is we give you a demand letter. Then, rather the first demand letter. Then we give you the second demand letter after a month. Then after another month, another demand letter. After the third demand letter, we hand over the facility to our debt collection and legal team. Then they officially, it's our lawyers and the auctioneers. On the third month, the first day of the first month, the third month, they visit you. Then they give you a document called a proclamation document, which is like a notice for another 1 week to tell you that you failed to pay your loan for the last 3 or so months, and you're being reminded. But now, in the presence of now the lawyer and the auctioneer, you're being reminded to.
So that is like a threat letter.
No,
if you do not pay, we are going now to seize your property and sell it.
The first 3 demand letters. Actually, the proclamation now is an actual threat, because the others are polite reminders.
But you need to pay.
You need to pay. That is on the 4th month. By the 4th month
of default.
Of default, yeah.
And so when you look at your procedures. Vis-a-vis are the ones that are taken by banks, commercial banks. I mean, there's no much difference.
There's no much difference,
For you do not have this kind of procedures. So your industry, you're at a very high risk, business-wise, right?
Yeah, and I think, that's what we were talking about earlier, right? Because by virtue of offering unsecured loans, as Tala, we're taking up all the risk as a company. And, that is where, we really rely on our machine learning models and algorithms to really assess credit risk. And be able to understand, what is the likelihood of this customer paying us back, and just to ensure that we're still able to continue operating as a company. Yeah.
As lenders, I mean, what a lot of people do not realize is that you're in business, and you're in the business of making profit. You're not in business of giving free money. It's I sell to you my money, and then you return it, at an interest rate. So how do you instill this sense in people's minds so that when I'm borrowing, I just like in commercial banks, I mean, I will not just go into a bank and ask for money and I'm given. I mean, they have to do a lot of due diligence and know your customer backgrounds and all that. So as micro lenders, as Jijenge, what do you need to do to highlight the fact that you're in the business just like any other business and you're in the business of making profit?
That's an interesting one, right? I think, that is true for us. However, in addition to that, as Tala, we're also a very strongly mission-led company, right? Our founder was actually working at the UNDP when they started Tala, and our mission is always, increasing access to credit. And how the type of relationship that we want to build with our consumers is more of where they understand that, paying Tala back enables me to be able to access this credit later. Number one, and number two, ensures that Tala can continue being there for me when I need it the most. So, Tala, one of the things that I find to be quite interesting is people think of Tala as a friend that they can, call at midnight when they need to rush their kids to hospital, or, when they need to, just keep things at status quo while they're waiting a payment for their business. And, I think for us, maintaining that one-on-one relationship and close relationship with our customers ensures that they understand the importance of repaying us and continuing to have a good relationship with us. Yeah.
And how do you cultivate that culture?
That's the beauty of it. We have been in the market for 7 years, and our customers have grown with us since we started. And when it comes to how we cultivate this culture, it's just how we communicate with them, right? If you look at our social media pages, if you look at how we, any messages that people get from Tala, we understand that it is a reciprocal relationship, and we have to ensure that respect moves back and forth. That's number one. And number two, it's just, continuously showing our customers that they can grow with us. So, our tagline is literally, let's grow together. So, they understand that, as we're growing as a business, we're also figuring out how do we grow with you as a consumer.
Jijenge, do you have any aspirations of becoming a bank? Would you want to become a commercial bank?
Definitely, that's our prayer, that's our strategy. That's why if you look at our growth model, we've been growing gradually, and the numbers we are currently looking at, since we started that 7 years ago, we are now at slightly over 20,000 customers, which is a very good and impressive base. And our tagline is very clear. We empowering your business, and our niche is the MSMEs. Those are primarily the small businesses and upcoming businesses, and at some point startups. And I would like to take a step back to your question. What enables us to ensure that the customer knows that we're in business when we are lending money? We have a very elaborate application form, and we ensure that there is that physical touch between our customers and our staff. That presence, that process of filling the application form, and at some point the loan agreement, or rather the offer letter, it gives you, there are some questions that we will analyze and see. If, for example, you put the reason for the loan application as gambling, we surely don't lend to you. Yeah. So,
and that is the know your customer background research that you do.
Exactly.
As Tala, or as a micro lender, I mean, is it your desire to become a commercial bank?
That's an interesting one. For us, I wouldn't be able to say yes or no at this point. But I think our mission, and especially with the new Tala, Series E funding that we just raised, we're very keen to become a global leader and the largest, financial service provider for the underbanked. So that looks like many different things, and we're still in the process of defining what that looks like. However, we want to be able to ensure that in addition to credit, that in future customers can be able to save with Tala, invest with Tala, get insurance with Tala, just become a full service financial provider for the people who've been left out of the formal economy.
But you can't do all those services. I mean, you can't offer all those services being a digital lender. I mean, at some point you have to grow your wings and spread them and fly.
Yeah.
But you would want to fly to where?
When you say fly to, are you referring to in terms of your first question around being a digital bank? Like that is in part true, and we would be keen to explore that. So I'm not able to share too much right now because we're still in the process of figuring that out. But in part, for us, our goal remains to be what I just shared, right? We're looking to become a full service financial provider for the underbanked, and that remains true for Kenya and also the other markets in which Tala is.
But it is your desire to outgrow your current business model?
I wouldn't say outgrow it, but complement it. So outgrow, we'll primarily always be offering credit. That is the DNA and the genesis of who we are. It's a mission behind which we were formed, right? Increasing access to credit. However, we want to figure out how else can we complement the lives of our customers. They have all these other needs, and for them to be full, whole, financially healthy beings, then what else do we need to provide to them and ensure they have access to? Yeah.
Macharia, do you believe there's a place for micro lenders in this economy?
Definitely there's a place, because you can't wish technology away. And then matters finance, matters money. They've been there since even before Christ, when they used to trade with gold and diamond and do barter trade. That was that was economic development for that time. So currently we can't wish micro lenders away. It's a very major part of our society. Yes.
As somebody who has a tremendous amount of wealth in banking and of course in the business of lending and of course borrowing, what needs to be done to bring proper regulations in this industry? Because again, we also have to be very careful, because over regulation can kill an industry. So what do we need to do to bring proper regulations in this industry so that we can weed out rogue players?
Well, let me start by saying that most of what needs to be done has been done. We've got some very stable and very good leadership from all the way from the governor, central bank. We have very good organizations, corporations that are overseeing and overlooking the financial industry, that is KDIC. We have also another major player that is also very well managed and doing some very good work. That is the there's a financial unit that handles caters for or takes care of money laundering and fraudulent transactions. Financial Reporting Center, that's the correct name. And of course the Ministry of Finance, they're also overlooking and ensuring that all the players and the economy at large is very well managed. And in terms of regulation, whatever they've done so far is good, because we don't need to be micromanaged, because once the financial industry is not well managed, it can bring down the entire economy. And it's supposed to self-regulate itself, so that players who are not up to their task, they will lose customers and they will naturally die a natural death. Yes.
How long does it take, especially like in your case, how long does it take by the time I apply for a loan before the same is disbursed?
That's a very good question, O'Brien. We disburse our funds within 1 hour. It's a first in the industry. And
that is if you have all the documents in place.
The customers walked into our offices at 8 today, and they made the applications and they presented all the necessary documents. Their accounts are already funded.
What are those documents?
That's basic requirements like the national ID, KRA PIN, bank statement, 6 months bank statement, 6 months M-Pesa statement, of course the security, but that one applies to the logbook facilities only. And now you fill the application form, and the agreement form is signed and witnessed by a lawyer, and the asset is valued. We have in-house valuers, and within an hour, whichever part of the country you are in, you are sorted.
And for you, I mean, does it take the same amount of time?
No, so I think one of the beauty and advantages that we have is technology. So, from the moment you apply, it takes us maximum of 5 minutes to disburse the loan. So, that is, one of the key revolutions that we had, right? Because, if you have an emergency, within 5 minutes of you requesting for your loan, you have it in your M-Pesa. So, that is one of the key innovation points on our end.
Before we go to the Kenya School of Government, I want to hear from you. Yes. Is there any lesson that you believe you can learn from micro lenders that you can use, to make your work even simpler and faster?
True. There is plenty that I can learn from Tala, especially on that aspect of efficiency. We would like to move from processing a facility from 1 hour to their 5 minutes, because what I've realized in most of the borrowings, most of our customers, more than 50%, they never plan their finances. So in most of the cases, it's an emergency. Somebody wakes up, he walks maybe he bumps into a LPO and he needs money like yesterday.
And they will get it. Very good. We now want to take you to the Kenya School of Government, where the Ministry of Labour and the Ministry of Health, they are meeting to update the country on the implementation of the bilateral agreement between the government of Kenya and the United Kingdom for collaboration on healthcare workforce. Let's first of all listen in.
Considering we are from the Commonwealth and our mode of instruction is English, give us a very good opportunity for our skilled labor, beginning with you, the nurses. We have now engaged with the United Kingdom on many other skills or many other sectors beyond the nurses. But the most important, their highest priority was nursing, to address the shortage of nursing workers in UK. As stated by our Director of Planning, we have about 7 regions with 233 trusts employing over 1.2 million medical workers in UK. And this gives you a huge opportunity. They have a shortage of about 62,000 nurses this year, running for almost 3 years. And Kenya negotiated successfully for a third of that, 20,000 nurses, which we signed in July. And we went back last month, together with the technical officers, to engage them on now the terms and conditions and responsibilities. Because we want to secure a safe, orderly migration to ensure that your working environment in UK is safe and secure. And therefore, whatever I'll be stating in my speech will be affirming our discussions of what we have done and also giving you our government expectation, because you are the pioneer group living for this, taking over this opportunity, which is a national opportunity for all Kenyans who are going to, there are many Kenyans who will come after you. You are going to go to UK, those who will succeed for a term of 1 or 2 terms of 3 years each. And depending on your working and your working culture, attitude, commitment, passion for work, you have the opportunity, you have a chance to extend. The UK themselves will have an opportunity to reconsider your status. You could even be given resident status depending on your commitment to work. So UK, as some of the world's leading hospitals, it has the best practices and centers that offer great professional development opportunities, and at the same time working with great people. Nurses are adequately compensated for their position depending on the band, and we were able to negotiate for you to enter at band 5, which is diploma and above. Band 6 would now be those who will upgrade their following maybe completion of their appraisal. And that band 5, you're talking about £2,300, which is almost 300,000 Kenya shillings. Of course, life in UK is not cheap. So while you are earning that much, you have also a huge cost of upkeep. But we were able to negotiate some introductory support by the NHS. So now, before I speak or I go deep into my speech, there are things that we would want to inculcate in you as you live. As we say, you are our flag carriers. You are our pioneers. You are our firstborn. You carry alongside you the highest expectation from the government and the people of Kenya. And therefore, I know PS TUM and the Medical Training College, you've been told about the 6 C's of nursing. And I think if you kept those 6 C's, that is care, compassion, courage, communication, commitment, and competence, I have no doubt in my mind that you will deliver the best service. That there will be, your arrival in UK will prompt a huge demand for Kenyan nurses. Your arrival in UK will give us pride anytime any person from Kenya is engaging anybody from Britain. So we look up to you. We look up to you. Good communication means approaching every patient, interacting with a good intention to understand the patient concerns, experience, and opinions, verbal and non-verbal. Skills alongside listening and also giving feedback.
Well, that is Labour CS Simon Chelugui giving an update on the bilateral relations between Kenya and the United Kingdom on healthcare services. And of course, we have heard it from him. A number of nurses are on their way to the United Kingdom to practice there. And of course, that was an update. Let's come back to the studio so that we can close the discussion that we have been having in the last 1 hour on micro lending, the role of micro lenders and regulations. And of course, and Stella Mumbi is a country growth manager for Tala, and Peter Masharia is a managing director for Jinjenge Credit. Because we have to come to the end of this interview, I mean, where do you see this industry, you know, the micro lending business in the next 5 years?
That's a really, really good question. You know, for us, I think the goal remains to be how many more Kenyans we can be able to reach. You know, so for example, with Tala in Kenya today, we've reached up to 3 million Kenyans, and we really want to continue, you know, increasing access to credit and innovating, you know, to figure out other ways to go about barriers such as smartphone penetration and internet access. So, you know, for us, you know, and where we see digital lenders being, you know, becoming the foothold of access to credit in the Kenyan market, and becoming, you know, that quote-unquote friend that Kenyans can rely on when they're having emergencies, or when they, you know, just require extra funds to keep their businesses running or to meet some family needs. Yeah.
What about Jinjenge Credit?
Yes, we expect to be maybe a deposit-taking microfinance in the next 5 years, and probably in the next 10 years we can be a fully-fledged bank. But as I've said, we'll borrow a leaf from Tala and embrace technology so that we can blend traditional banking and technology together to serve as many Kenyans within Kenya and maybe the region as possible. Yes.
Are you planning to go paperless?
Yes. Yeah, we need, just as I've said, technology is something that we can't wish away. And on our part, paperless banking helps a lot because we avoid huge releasing huge storage spaces. Yeah.
Very good. Lady and a gentleman, thank you very much indeed for finding time to be with us here, and of course sharing your insight with us. Asante sana. Well, our conversation has been on micro lending business, the future, and as well as the current opportunities and challenges, and of course you have heard it from the team in the studio. Well, remember, our conversation continues. My name is O'Brien Kimani. Kurunzi is coming up next, which is a Swahili version of BizCheck. So you need to stay right here. Asante sana for your time. Have a good afternoon.